Would you live in a van for 6 months for $100,000 and why? If I had $100,000, I would probably use it to buy a van to live in. That's what I said. For years now I've wanted to live in a van. Not permanently, but for 6 months or so. The main thing stopping me is that good camper vans cost a lot. Edit, since y'all started a conversation about it, I think something like this would be my dream van. sportsmobile.com. If you buy a decent bigger van that runs good, you can convert them to livable fairly cheap if you're willing to put the work in. I've looked into this for a while now. Don't think I'm tough enough just yet. Plus, now I have neither a garage nor a driveway, so that's not an option. I bought a converter van right as COVID was starting. It was 10K CAD, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. If you could find regular places to shower, that'd be a huge bonus. 24 hours gyms. It's also generally cool to sleep in the lot as well, if you have a membership. Truck stop showers are fine too. And state parks. You can get day passes for just a few bucks usually, and there will be shower facilities you can use. I don't know how much it is now, but the Eagle Pass for national parks for a whole year was super cheap. I bought one for a 2-week vacation to the US because it was cheaper than I think 5 entrance fees, and we were going to 7 national parks. If I remember correctly, you get hookups and water included. Edit. Apparently wrong about the water hookup thing. My experience was like 20 years ago. The standard national parks pass is $80, most national park entrance fees are $15 to $20 in my experience, so you're right on. I'd live in a garbage can for 6 months for that money. Edit, yay, my highest rated comment is about living in a garbage can. What a time to be alive. Oscar? Edit, how do you think I feel? All I ducking did was say Oscar. Nah, not sure that movie would do well at the Academy Awards. Might do okay at the Trash Can Film Festival. Edit, I should have said it would clean up. Sorry for the missed opportunity. Get Out. 4 Oscar nominations. Don't people pay upwards of $100K to buy a van and do this for real? I know at least one person who genuinely wants to do this. Instagram people who want to go on weekenders and be an influencer spend $100,000 on a van. The rest of us are more in the $5-10K neighborhood, maybe a little higher for some. I'd quote it as about becoming a transient rubber tramp that makes people think you need a bunch of money. It's literally just voluntary homelessness. It is incredibly cheap living. I'm not part of this community, but I wonder if the airbrushed influencer van life has raised prices or damaged things for those living well, normally. There was a rush to buy them mid-pandemic here, and apparently prices skyrocketed briefly as well. When I looked for a friend, I was absolutely floored at the cost of even tiny standard things. Prices are still very high. Interest rates are low. It's one of the few remaining ways to travel, and for the unemployed, living in a vehicle can be a good way to save money. Lots of competition for camper vans. That being said, you can still buy an older van. Just take it to a mechanic to see what work it needs. Then, you can self-convert to the level that you need and can afford. Really, all you truly need is a sleeping surface and some curtains for privacy. Especially if you can just drive to wherever the weather is mild. Anything else, you can deal with as you go if you have a little creativity and free time. I spent 1000 GBP on mine. 170k miles on clock. Rock and roll bed, gas cooker sink and a solid engine. Maybe I got lucky, but I love this thing. It's not an expensive thing to do. More maintenance than a normal car, but not enough to break the bank. If you're spending 1k on a vehicle, the maintenance was always likely to be high, whether it was a car or a van. And depending on where you live, vans are taxed at a lower rate than cars, so that's also a win. If I ever do it, I'll buy something like a Berlingo, and do it that way. Cheap as duck, mattress fits just fine. Plenty of storage space. Small enough that it warms relatively quickly. Relatively reliable, and you only need to pay car toll and can fit in regular garage tunnels because they're quite small. Become a member of a fitness chain that has locations in multiple countries, for showers, phone charging, and parking, and I can travel Europe with the occasional hostel gig. Knew a guy who'd been doing it for years. Mine's a VW, and in 3 years I've spent $400 on repairs. Not including normal mow costs. Maybe I've got lucky. It's 17 years old. At present I need a new handbrake lever. Tax is high though because of diesel big engine. But I use it as a day-to-day car too. I did this for a year already, pay me edit, paid in gold, nice. Why you ask? Why? It's $100,000, that's why. Even converting the money in my own currency, 72K, is still a lot of money. These kind of questions are always just another cake or death scenario. They'll take the cake. Well, we're out of cake. Only had 3 bits and didn't expect such a rush. Edited to correct autocorrect. Thank you for flying Church of England. Yeah, because I'm not a ducking idiot. It's another one of those questions, would you do a mild inconvenience for tons of money kind of deals? Well, of course we would. Those questions get asked for karma, I mean. No one would assume that this starts some kind of great discussion about life, etc. I like the one that came up a while back that was something like, would you watch the same movie non-stop for 24 hours for $1 million? Who the duck wouldn't? It'd do it for $100 for fuck's sake. As long as I have food, water and all the necessary stuff to live, I definitively would. You get 100K. That's all you need to survive. Well, you need the money up front, or 6 months worth of credit. But, yes. If it's a draw, then I'm gonna be eating ramen for 6 months. I have done this. Do not do this. You won't die. But you'll wish you would. Am 5 days into ramen plus black coffee, can confirm. Drooling at the idea of payday. Pro tip, rice's beans is basically as cheap as ramen but much more nutritious and healthy. Am 5 weeks into rice and beans. Drooling at the idea of payday. As long as it's down by the river. Only if Matt Foley is my neighbor. And if he brings enough coffee to drink for 4 hours. No duckin' way I'm paying $100,000 to live in a van for 6 months. This guy is the only interesting response in the thread. Also a valid one based on the ambiguity of the title. I'm with you though. Yes. The reason is the money. Yeah, these questions are ridiculous considering that, for instance, $100,000 for 6 months is over 3 times more than the median income. The more interesting question then, would you do mildly bad thing for a ton of money? Is what amount would you accept to do bad thing? Treat it like a reverse auction in your mind. How low would you go? Renovate the van, make it comfortable, defo worth it for 100K. It'd be perfect as long as I have access to a public bath shower area that I can clean up regularly for cheap free. Some truck drivers actually do this to save money instead of renting a home. They can do this for a few decades and retire comfortably at a proper home afterward. Just got a gym membership at a place like Planet Fitness, $10 month and open 24 hours a day. No, I make decent money and I am a bougie bitch and like my creature comforts. I think most folks in this thread wouldn't actually step up to the challenge when it came to figuring out how to live their life out of a van. Got pets? Do you remote into work? Where do you go to shower? Does it get cold where you live? Are you responsible for feeding yourself and staying warm while in said van? There's a ton of sacrifice in the fine print. It works best if you're young and don't have much to your name, and even then, it will suck serious ass. Would not recommend unless you have an idea what it's like. A few years back the company I had been working for folded, but they gave everyone a pretty healthy severance package. I spent the summer just living off that while I lined up a new job in another city. As I was moving to the new city, I took the scenic route and saw an old VW camper van for sale for a pretty reasonable amount. I'm still kicking myself that I didn't see that earlier and just live in it all summer. So yeah, super gladly. Absolutely. If there really aren't any rules, then I'd just park it in my driveway. I don't care that much about sleeping in a van for half a year, assuming that's the criteria. They didn't even take the time to make ridiculous rules. I'll live in the van, shower and eat at my house. I'll choose April to October and it'll be good on weather. I could buy an air mattress without having to touch the 100K.